salon professional. If this is your first time visiting us, we empower hairstylists and salon owners by giving advice on how to grow their business, along with tips and tricks on how to save time and make more money doing what you love. If you would like to download the audio version of this podcast or any previous podcast, you can find them on salonhelpwanted.com and coming soon to iTunes and Google Play Music. So how is everybody doing tonight? Or today, I should say. I hope you all have full books for this week and you're making lots of money. But if not, that is why I do what I do every week, is to give you guys tips and tricks on how to grow your business so you can make more money. And so after last week's podcast, I was talking with my wife and I asked about something that was going on in the news. My wife is all about staying in the know on when it comes to the world events and news in general. So whenever I need to know something or something happens, I just ask her. Well, I also keep up on the news, but the difference is I mainly follow news that pertains to the salon industry. So I wanted to start this podcast off talking a little bit about what's going on in the world of hair. Feel free to let me know what you think about it. Is it something that you guys want to know about? What's going on in the hair world? Leave me a comment, and if you guys like it, we'll keep this section going on. But what it's called is What's Going On in the World of Hair this week. So let's kind of jump right into that. So the North American Hairstyling Awards are moving to a new city next year. The NAHA are the most prestigious photographed beauty competition in North America, and it is produced by the Professional Beauty Association, and it's going to be celebrating its 30th year of honoring talented and creative artists across 15 different categories. The next NAHA celebration will be in Las Vegas on July 29th of 2018 at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino. Then again, 6 months later, they're going to launch at a new time and a new place. They're going to be moving it to Long Beach, California, and will be held during the International Salon and Spa Expo on January 26th of 2019. So this means there's new dates for competitors and new deadlines to meet. So the entries open May 31st of 2018, which that means they're already open, and the entry deadline is September 13th, 2018. The finalists will be announced December 2nd of 2018, and the celebration will start January 26th, 2019. If you want to learn more about the NAHA, you can visit probeauty.org. So I read this story recently too, and I found it kind of interesting. But there's a hairband on the market that claims to be able to prevent head lice. It's called the Loop, and it is a lice-preventing hairband elastic that helps protect the hair from lice. Thanks to its innovative process that seals a naturally active formula, whatever that means, Loop hairbands emits a scent that kids love and that lice hates. Its effective test, it has been proven 95% effective in lice prevention. And the test was conducted by the School of Pharmacy Tours University in France. So a pack of these will actually contain 4 hairbands, and each hairband provides up to 2 weeks of protection. And they claim it doesn't contain any artificial ingredients, pesticides, It's been dermatologically tested. It is paraben, gluten, soy, dairy, and nut free. So if you happen to be in an area where head lice is prevalent, and or it's the school year and that's when head lice season starts, is during the school year, it might be a good idea to check into these and pick some up and make yourself a few extra dollars selling retail. And then lastly, if you're going to be attending the Orlando premiere show that's coming up in about 3 weeks or so in July, I think it's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or I could be wrong on those dates. I don't have it right up in front of me. But that Sunday I will be there actually doing some filming for our podcasts. I'm going to stop by. I know the Scruples station, their stage. We're going to go to the Paul Mitchell stage. We're going to go to a few others. American Crew, most definitely. And we're just going to give you a tour of the premiere show on one of our upcoming podcasts next month. So today's topic is habits that all successful hairstylists have. But I want to start off by asking a question today. And that question is, why do you love being a hairstylist? Let me know your answer in the comments. Now, the first time I was asked, why do I love being a hairstylist? I got asked that question right out of beauty school, and I can remember just vividly blurting out, I'm able to meet new women all the time. And looking back on that, it makes me laugh. Mainly because I'm married now and all that. But hey, I was single at the time. But after a lot of growing up and really learning to hone my craft, I was taking as much continuing education and business classes as I could afford. I ended up coming up with the real answer of why I love being a hairstylist. And there are really two reasons. The first one being is this is a career that allows me to have freedom, to be able to live life on my own terms. I'm able to choose what days I work, what hours I want to work. I'm able to choose the type of clients that I want to work on. I'm able to choose the type of people I want to work with. And the list goes on and on about the freedom that you really have when you're a hairstylist. And then secondly, and really the most important reason why I love being a hairstylist, is because that I can actually make as much or as little money as I want. Now, don't get me wrong, I really do. I love working with my clients. I love my clients. I love helping them out. I love making them feel their best. But at the end of the day, it's really all about the paycheck. If you think about it, everything's about that almighty dollar. So as much as you love your clients, I love money more. I mean, that's mean to say, but it's true. And it's probably true with everybody that's listening. You love your clients, but you love money a little bit more. So that's why I love this business, because if I was working a 9-to-5 job, that means that I am stuck making X amount of dollars for X amount of time worked, with maybe a likelihood of a raise, or maybe I could get fired. Where with this, I can choose where I want to work and how I want to be as a person, as a hairstylist. I'm not bogged down by that constant droning of 9-to-5 work where I'm doing the same endless thing over and over, and I really love that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me know why you guys love being a hairstylist. So did you all know that the average hairstylist only makes around $26,000 a year? And that's with tips. $26,000 a year, including tips. So that means close to 80% of all hairstylists out there are doing what they love and barely being able to get by week to week. Well, there are 10% that are making less than $26,000 a year. So what are the other 10% doing to make more than what the average salary is? So what is the 10% doing that's different from someone making $26,000 a year or less? And one of the biggest things that they're doing is they know how to build a relationship with that clientele. I can remember years back, a friend of mine told me about this book, and it was called The Power of Charm. And I'm a pretty charismatic person. People like to be around me. But I read that book, and then it sort of clicked with me when it came to building my clientele. I need to know how to be charming to that person. And I don't mean how to charm my way out of swindling them for their money. I give my clients what they need and not what they don't need. I won't sell my clients products that they don't need. I won't do services that they don't need. And that's one of the reasons why my clientele keep coming back, is because I don't try to take their money. I let them freely give it to me. So when you build that relationship with your client, it really allows you many perks. And some of these perks are that these clients tend to book more often, they'll buy more retail, and they'll get more services done. If you haven't heard my podcast on client retention and growing your clients, it goes more into detail about building relationships with your clients, how to do that, what not to do. You can find it right here on this channel, or if you would like a free audio download, you can visit salonhelpwanted.com and then click the podcast button in the menu, and you can actually listen to all the Savvy Salon professional podcasts there. They're also going to be coming soon to iTunes and the Google Play Music Store. But back to our conversation on stylists and how much they're making. So if 10% of hairstylists are making over $26,000 a year, many of them are making over $100,000 a year. And the answer is around 2%, maybe a little less. But out of those 2%, I want to say about 0.5% of those are celebrity hairstylists, celebrity makeup artists, whatnots. They deal with very high dollar clients, and they're making well over $100,000 a year. So out of this actual probably 1.5% of stylists who aren't celebrity stylists, what did they do to get there? What do they have in common? And how you can go from making what you are now to $100,000 a year in a relatively short time by only working 3 days a week. And by relatively short time, I mean a few years. But if you take those few years and you break that down, it's going to take me 3 years or 2 years to establish myself in a position where I'm making this much money a year. Compared to how long you're going to be making that, it's worth the trade. It's definitely worth the risk to try to do it. And now I can pretty much guarantee you that the top 2% didn't start out making six figures a year. I mean, not even the celebrity stylists out there who started out. I mean, yeah, they may have known someone to help them along, but just like everyone else, they had to go through their growing pains. They had to start at the bottom and work their way up like the rest of us. And the only thing that really makes them different from the rest of the hairstylist community and the rest of the salon world is the habits that they have. And I want to stop right here for a second, and I just want to ask you to ask yourself, are your habits gaining you clients? And are your clients returning to you? The average stylist is in survival mode almost all the time. And what I mean by that is they work as much as they can and do as many clients as they can just so they can pay their bills. And I know you guys didn't become hairstylists just to struggle. So I have a long-term challenge for you. And the reason I call it a long-term challenge is because it's going to take at least 66 days to complete. But here in a minute, we're going to go over these habits that successful stylists have. And I want you to choose a couple of these habits. And I want you to make them a part of your daily salon life. And on average, it does take 66 days to form a new habit. So it's not going to happen overnight. I guarantee you're going to start it, you're going to forget a couple times, and you're going to be like, oh, I keep forgetting. Write yourself a note, do whatever you need to do. But the more you do it, the more this habit becomes a way of life. Then after 66 days, I want you to come back to this podcast and I want you to leave a comment on how changing your habits changed your lifestyle, how it changed your income, how it changed your overall effect with your clients, because I'm really interested to know what happened with you. For me, when I started changing my habits, I saw an increase in client retention. I saw an increased ROI, which is a return on my investment when it came to advertising. I saw my income slowly increasing. And for me, this took about 2.5 years. So I'm not saying you can start this and then instantly, boom. It's not a way to jump in and start making $100,000. It's a commitment, but in the long run, it's really going to pay off. So let's jump into some of these habits that successful hairstylists have. And it's not just a couple hairstylists that are successful that have these habits. It's actually all of them. And this list is just a few. I mean, there's definitely more, but we don't have time to go through the whole list. So I took a lot more of the important ones, um, especially that helped me. So hopefully it can help you as well. But successful hairstylists always show up 30 minutes before their first client. And they do this because they know they're going to need time to drink their morning coffee, to set up for their first client, to really get prepared for the day, to go through their books and see who they have. And a lot of times their first client is going to be 15 minutes early at the earliest. And, if they arrive late, unfortunately, that kind of throws your day off. But they're ready for that client as soon as that client walks in the door. And that's a great reflection. That client sees you on time every time. So successful hairstylists also dress to mirror their clients. They dress to mirror their clients, which basically means they know what client type they want to attract. So they dress like their clientele dresses. I myself wear what I'm wearing right now to work in the salon, and that's a bow tie, a button down shirt, and slacks, and nice shoes. And the reason I do that is because my clientele is a business and corporate type clientele who need to look good for what they're doing, because they have to appear in front of, well, a lot of people at any given time during their day, and they need to make a first impression, or they need to always look good so it appears that they're successful. So I always dress to mirror my client. And they all have a niche. They all have a niche. And I've seen this a lot when I walk into salons, that they're stylists and they do good at what they do. They cut, they color, they do Brazilian blowouts, they do texture services, and they're good at what they do, but they're not great. Because what happens is, when you try to be everything to every client you have, you're not really going to be good at any certain thing. You're just going to be mediocre at everything. So when you find something you love to do, like my niche is precision haircutting, razor cutting, and Brazilian blowouts. When you find something you love to do, do it. Learn everything you can on those subjects, all the new trends, everything that's going around and going on, and make that who you are as a stylist. Don't do services that you don't normally do. Get really good at what you love doing, and you're going to see that your clients, even though they might have to go get their color service somewhere else, or they might have to go get this service somewhere else, they're going to come back to you for the services that you do. Another thing is that successful hairstylists will only work with people who are positive. Now, everybody has a bad day. I get that. There's days where I just want to throw my scissors into the ceiling and walk out, or see if I can throw my razor against the wall and see if it sticks. I've had those days. I'm sure everybody has. But I don't want to work around people who are always negative, who are always saying, well, this client doesn't like them because they blah blah blah, and they blame everything on their client, or they say a comment like, well, that's probably the best haircut they've ever had, and they don't know it. So they're putting themselves in this negative environment where people are always down, and it's not good for your body, it's not good for your mind. So you want to be around people who are positive, who are going to push you up, who are going to push you to do better. You want people who will push you to do better. And they also don't listen when people say you can't. Um, because when someone comes up to you and says you can't do something, like I had friends when I wanted to open my first salon, they said, you can't do that. You don't have the experience. You can't do that. You are too young. You can't do that. And what they're actually saying is, I can't do that. I can't do this, because they can't. And they want you to be right there with them. People like that aren't good to be around because they can pull you down and tear you away from your dreams. I had some really amazing friends that I unfortunately had to say, I can't I can't hang out with you anymore because you're always so down. It's not producing anything. It's not helping build our relationship anymore, and I just had to get rid of those people and get them out of my life. And once I did that, the positive things started rolling in and rolling in and rolling in, and it was like I was a whole new person, and it was me rediscovering the world of hair and why I love it so much. Successful hairstylists also take calculated risks. And what I mean by that is, let's use the example of you're a commission stylist and you want to go to booth rent. What a successful stylist will do is they will say, it's going to cost me this much money to go booth rent somewhere. And you have to remember, you're not just adding in the booth rent cost. So it's not just that weekly booth rent you're paying for. You're going to be paying for your supplies, your advertising, your everything. And if you have to put X amount of dollars into this business, if you fail miserably, are you going to be able to live comfortably again until something you figure out what's going on? And unfortunately, a lot of stylists out there, they're just like, I want to work for myself no matter what. And they put all this in, and they get nothing in return. And it's because they didn't take into consideration the risks involved, and they didn't calculate their risks. And then after a while, they just say, well, I must not be good at this, so they quit. And unfortunately, this industry loses a lot of great hairstylists because of that, unfortunately. So another reason, or another habit, that successful hairstylists all have is that they're adaptable to change, and they actually embrace it as it comes. So me, for instance, I read a lot about haircutting styles, razor cutting techniques, and I stay up to date on all the new fashion and what's going on and everything like that, because I might have a client that this would look really good on, and I didn't even know about it until I saw, this is the new hot hairstyle. And when you go in and you say to your client, hey, I have this idea, what do you think about this? That does a few things for you. It makes you look amazing to your client because they think that you are actually thinking about them, which you are, and that makes them feel really good about themselves, and they're asking you if you'd like to change. And a lot of style or clients leave their stylist because they don't ask them if they want to change the same style they've had since 1990. So so if you're adaptable to change, and like even in the color world, there's new techniques, new ways to lay foils. There's new ways to block color. There's a lot of things that are going on in the color world too. So that changes too. So if you're adaptable to that and you're willing to embrace those changes, and you'll be really successful. And I'm going to give you just a quick example before we move on. Is that I worked with a hairstylist one time, and this hairstylist could not get out of the 90s and wondered why she had to get new clients every 6 weeks or so. Well, anybody who came in and wanted highlights, she would assume that that client wanted to look like she was from the 90s, and they double and triple foiled the whole head, and they made everybody look exactly the same. And I don't know if anybody realized other than me, but that stylist was making them look exactly like they did. And not only that, there was a lot of hair breakage because you can't process highlights over highlights over highlights forever. So she, this client, or this stylist, would go through clients like crazy, and it's because she was not adaptable to change. So being adaptable is a very important habit to have in this industry. So moving on, successful hairstylists are active on the social media platforms that their clients are on. So with me, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I write articles, I post my work, I post other people's work that I think is pretty good. I post companies that are hiring so other stylists can see who's hiring out there. Excuse me. And I get a lot of my clients from LinkedIn. Now, my clients are on Facebook, but not as much. So I usually go with where my clients are because I don't want to waste money advertising somewhere where my clients aren't. So if your clientele is going to be on Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, you want to find them there and go there and do your marketing there. And speaking of marketing, next week's podcast is going to be all about how to market yourself like a pro without breaking the bank. And one of the topics we're going to be talking about is social media advertising, how it works, how to get the most bang for your buck. So be sure to check that out. And then moving on, they're not afraid of making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are or how long you've been doing this. You're gonna make a mistake. And successful hairstylists aren't afraid when they make a mistake. They own up to it. They say, "I'm sorry, I made this mistake." They acknowledge it, and then they learn from it so they don't make that mistake again. And that's really the key there, is they learn from it. I've seen stylists make the same mistake over and over and over, and they always ask, well, why does this always happen to me? Why isn't it happening to, another stylist over there? And the answer is, you're not learning from that mistake. You're not saying, well, what did I do wrong? You're actually asking yourself the wrong question. You're asking yourself, why did this always happen to me, or why does this always happen to me, when you should be asking yourself, what did I do wrong so I don't do this again? So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just make sure you learn from them. And then they listen more than they talk. So this is a big one. When you listen to your client more than you talk to your client, you're building a rapport, you're building trust, you're building that client relationship. Because when you're listening to what they have to say, it puts you in control of the conversation. You're then able to move that conversation where you want it. Um, Say your client's talking about gardening and you know nothing about gardening. Well, you can ask the question and turn that conversation from gardening to a subject you do know about, which might be um, a certain type of flower, or a certain type of plant, or a certain type of animal. But anyway, when you listen, you can actually redirect that conversation to fit what you want to talk about on subjects that you know and that your client likes to talk about, because you're just going to ask the questions and you're going to listen to their stories. And when she knows, or he knows, or your client knows that you're actually listening to them, they're going to open up more, and you'll find that that trust that you're building is going to equal out to more money in the long run for you. And then they also know that learning never ends. There's there's a lot of stylists out there who think that once they get out of beauty school, that's the end all be all. They know it all. They're going to be a famous celebrity hairstylist. And the fact is, or the fact that they want to open up a business. I've seen that a lot too. They get out of beauty school and they want to open up a business, but they haven't learned about business and they haven't learned about even themselves as a hairstylist yet. In fact, one of the salons that I bought was because um, the stylist had just gotten out of beauty school and thought, I can run my own business, and a few months later put it up for sale. So I bought the business, kept that stylist on, and now they are actually one of the higher ups in my salons. So they learned that once you get out of beauty school, it's only the beginning, and you learn every day after that. I talked earlier when I said I went to continuing education classes and business classes, and I learned everything I could. I took what I could afford, and I paid for classes. And when you look at classes and you look at the cost, and you see, oh, that's $500. Well, think about this: that $500 that you spend, you might learn only one thing there, but that one thing can net you $1,000, $5,000, however much, and that's worth that $500 investment if you can stand to gain an extra $5,000 that year because you learned one new thing. So you want to look at going to classes as an investment and as a way to make more money, not as, oh, I'm shelling out all this money, I hope I learn something. You want to go in and say, I'm going to spend $500. I'm going to make sure I learn one thing, and I'm going to make sure, that I'm going to be able to boost my business because of it. And then um, stylists with good habits also pre-book their client. So successful stylists have a habit of pre-booking their clients. They do this for the reason of they know 2 months out, or 2 weeks out, 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, whatever that booking schedule is, they're guaranteed that these clients are going to come these days, and they're guaranteeing their income. So so when they do that, they ultimately know throughout the year how much they're going to make, how many new clients they need to take on, etc., etc. But we'll go on to that in a different podcast. So there's two more things on the list, and then we're going to talk a little bit about only having to work 3 days a week on 4 clients a day and bringing in $100,000 a year. So one of the other things out of the two is that successful hairstylists make it all about the client experience. They know that that client's experience in their salon or in their chair is what's going to give them repeat business. They know that it's all about that relationship building. Everything that relationship building is the foundation for everything. So they want to make it all about their client experience. They want them to walk in and feel like they are getting the best experience they've ever had in their life at a salon. And when a stylist can pull that off, they will keep returning to them. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be that fancy, to be honest. I when I first started out, I was in a little salon. It wasn't the most prestigious salon, but it was the little things that I did when I gave shampoos, um, when I did conditioning treatments to the hair, their whole, what happened when they entered the salon, what happened when they left the salon, and in between, it was all those little things. And then lastly on the list, successful stylists all have mentors. They all have mentors. So what this means is that to be, well, let's back that up. Mentors are amazing to have. I actually have a few. I have some business mentors. I have salon mentors. They're just amazing, amazing people that are there to teach you about everything that you don't know about. Every successful stylist I know has had a mentor or 3 or 4 throughout the years, and they may be actually mentoring people now, kind of like I am. So if you can find that person that can help you grow as a stylist and will encourage you, you want to learn everything from them, make them your mentor, learn from them, grow with them, and then become their equal and find another mentor in another subject that you want to learn about. So now on to how you can actually make $100,000 a year only working 3 days a week. So I broke it down, and if you work on 4 clients a day, 4 clients a day, and your average ticket was $320.51, you will make $100,000 a year. And if you think about it, an average ticket of $320 is not that much. That's a color, a highlight, a haircut, and some product. And there are people out there willing to spend that. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to go and start saying, oh, I want to only work 3 days a week and I only want to work on 4 clients. You really have to build that trust. You really have to work with that client, get them to know who you are, what you're all about, and then build from there. So it is going to take time, But if you adapt to these habits that we just went through, I guarantee you'll be on the road to being that $100,000 stylist that's in the top 2%. And I really hope that you take me up on that challenge and start introducing some of these habits into your daily salon life. It's changed my life, and it can really change yours too. So please do that. Leave me in a comment and let me know how it worked out for you. But that music means that is all the time we have for this podcast. So you can actually find the downloadable audio version of The Savvy Salon Professional at salonhelpwanted.com. Just click on the podcast button in the menu, and then you'll soon be able to find it on iTunes and Google Play Music. So join me next Monday. I'll be talking about marketing yourself like a pro without breaking the bank. And until next time, keep doing what you love and loving what you do. Have a good night, everybody.